So here's the second episode of the Korryn case. Her family were awarded $36 million, I think it was. Don't quote me on that because I really am not sure how much they got awarded. But I think that's still, like, this is the second part of the video that I had made. I think they could have handled it a little bit differently because due to the fact that she had children, and this woman, you could tell, even by her Facebook, her Facebook was locked. Her, before Korryn Gaines died, the police just barricaded her house. It's like, it was crazy, like as though she was, almost like a terrorist and stuff. And it was, they could have handled it so much better if they had really spoken to her family. And even though her family was there, they were denied to help her. That whole scenario, that whole situation, the cops handled it very poorly. I don't think that she was trying to get fame, like a commenter said. This wasn't the case. This woman really had a lot of, problems mentally, and she somehow felt that she felt threatened. Don't know how this case became a case that was from a misdemeanor to something that led to her death. It's like that they weren't really sensitive to what was going on, and how they handled it. They didn't even bother to call the mental unit. It's like these are things that needed to be done. Like I felt like maybe they needed to call like somebody more professional who could have probably have swayed her into, into going out. Like if they had had her family member or even her mother, who also, when she went to the courts, said that why didn't they, handle it with her mother going to speaking with her daughter, and maybe the mother could have, persuaded her daughter to give herself in. But those people were denied into helping her, and so they went and they did something that they thought was the best thing, and it wasn't. I think that they went in and they knew that there was a child in there, and so I really don't understand really why this became, so out of hand that eventually it led to her death. Like this was a traffic, violation. This was not like something that, it looked more not like a traffic violation, but more like a terrorist thing. Like, they were treating her like as though she was a criminal, and she wasn't a criminal. And in fact, she really didn't do anything that was illegal. The only thing that she did illegal was not having a license plate. If they had maybe done things differently, maybe Korryn would have been alive today. Sadly enough, a mother lost a daughter, and also her son lost a mother. And unfortunately, that baby will be traumatized for the rest of his life because, you have to think about the situation. And so that situation was handled very poorly. And you know how cops are. They always want to sugarcoat what they do. And they want to, they want to make it seem like as if though, it was her fault. Well, maybe if she wasn't given the runaround, like when she went to the police department to get some kind of documents, that also, why were they giving her the runaround, and why were they making her wait like for an hour when all they had to do was just sign the document, and they already knew who the officer was? Another thing too, that the officer had a past history of doing this again, because a few years back, not a few years, but a couple of years back, like a year or so, he also dealt with another another female or a female girl who I don't know what her name is, but he had dealt with a girl who had also mental issues. And again, that very same no that very same situation happened before the Korryn Gaines case happened. So he had dealt with people who have had mental health issues, and he, prior to that also, prior to the Korryn Gaines case, also shot that person down. So he's had a history of this. It's not like this is his first time doing this. So I think that it was just handled. I'm just commenting on this because I feel that, when you deal with somebody who has a mental issue, all things should be negotiated, and the last thing should be to, to take them down. And this was just a violation. This was not a crime. This was just a violation, and it wasn't even a felony. It was a misdemeanor. So what I'm saying here is that these officers need to be more careful when dealing with people with mental illnesses, and try to resort to other resources so that things like this don't happen again. Because again, she was killed, and yes, even though she had a weapon on her, she did, feel threatened. This kind of situation could have been handled a whole way differently than the way it was handled. And remember that we're talking about someone who had a mental issue, in which the police officers should be trained to deal with these kind of situations in a more sensitive manner and not so violently, because officers tend to be a little bit also very aggressive. That if you see that someone is aggressive, don't try to be aggressive. Try to do the opposite. Don't try to be aggressive because she had an episode. Try to deter yourself, or try to steer away from being aggressive, so that if you're dealing with a person who is aggressive and you see that they are not negotiating what you have put to the table, then try to get family members to try to convince this person that not to do something that will later on affect not only them but their children. So yes, do I think that they deserve the award? Yes, I do. And there's only one reason why I'm only agreeing to why they do deserve this. One, a mother lost a child, okay? A little baby lost his mother and saw the tragedy happen in front of him. All I have seen from this Korryn case is that they say that she was a mental nut job. Well, maybe she wasn't a nut job. Maybe she really wanted to protect her children. It didn't have to go that far. And I don't think she was a nutcase, because they really, the officers did not treated her very well, about berating her house and, surrounding her house, and the neighbors having to not go out when this young lady was inside her apartment. They treated it as such as though she was a terrorist and not somebody who just had a traffic violation. So I think they went too far in what they did. And they had no search warrant. They had nothing. It's not called a search warrant, but it's called to get into her house. In other words, they didn't have permission for that. So why would you want to go inside a house where that she's not going to negotiate very well with you, because you are in her territory? And although she did not probably expect that, and if she did expect that, maybe you should not have handled it by being inside her apartment, but try to have a team of her family trying to convince her to come out in a good manner. So here you are with shields and shit, why she wasn't a criminal. She wasn't a criminal. She wasn't a terrorist. She wasn't anybody who was really physically hurting anyone. The cops just made it seem that way because they wanted to make a drama out of something that was very minor and it could have been solved. So yes, I do. I am here going, and I have recorded this, that yes, that I think that they should have been awarded. They should have been awarded for their loss and for the wrongful death of Korryn Gaines. That's it, guys. That's what I think. Now, if you feel different, please comment or subscribe to my channel. Tell me what you think. If you like it, if you don't like it, you have the right to comment. You have the right to your opinions, as long as it's nicely. And if you want to subscribe, you can subscribe. And if you don't, that's okay too. Everyone have a great weekend. I hope that everybody enjoys their evening today. Please be safe. Drive safely. And, God bless everyone. Okay, bye.